Okay, here's some more problems from the antiderivative worksheet, and this is number 30, and we're looking for the antiderivative of f of x, or capital F of x, and f of x equals 1 over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. This looks like the antiderivative of what? What do we take the derivative of to find this? Well, it looks like it's the arc secant. Okay. And if you take the derivative of the arc secant, you get 1 over the absolute value of x times the square root of x squared minus 1. And if you take the derivative of c, you get 0, so it checks out. So we can always check that. And we're going to use our particular value to find out what the c is. So f of x equals pi when the arc secant of, or pi equals the arc secant of x is the square root of 2 plus c. So we know that this is true when this is true for these values. Okay, what's the arc secant of the square root of 2? So this might be a trigonometric issue. Trigonometry, excuse me. So let's go over on the side and take a look at this. Remember, this is an angle. The angle whose secant is, this is an angle. The angle whose secant is the square root of 2. So we can call that angle theta. So we could say that the secant of theta is equal to the square root of 2. Well, the secant is the same thing as 1 over the cosine, so we would say that the 1 over the cosine equals the square root of 2, and then we could multiply both sides by the cosine and divide by the square root of 2, so we have the cosine of theta equals 1 over the square root of 2. So the secant is the same thing as 1 over the cosine, but if we multiply both sides by the cosine and divide both sides by the square root of 2, we get the cosine of theta equals 1 over the square root of 2. Then we can rationalize that. And that's equal to the square root of 2 over 2. And the cosine of what angle is the square root of 2 over 2? So that should look familiar from your unit circle. So that should imply that theta equals pi over 4. So we know that now we can write pi over 4 for this. So the angle whose secant is the square root of 2 is pi over 4. So there's your kind of trigonometry work over there. And then if I subtract pi over 4 from both sides, this is like 4 pi over 4. Same thing as pi over 4, right? I'm sorry, same thing as pi. 4 over 4 is 1. So 4 pi over 4 minus pi over 4 is 3 pi over 4. There's your c. So my f of x, or my capital F of x, my antiderivative equals arc secant of x plus 3 pi over 4. And there you go. Okay, so that's number 30. Number 31, a little bit easier one, I think. Well, we know that the derivative of the cosine is negative sine. So negative the derivative of the cosine would be the sine plus c. And you can always just check this. The derivative of the cosine is negative the sine of x, and a negative times a negative is a positive, so we get positive sine of x. The derivative of c is 0, so that checks out. And we'll put our values in. We know that 5 halves f of x is equal to negative the cosine of pi over 3, when x is pi over 3. This is 5/2 plus c. And that's 5/2. And negative, and what's the cosine of pi over 3? The cosine of pi over 3 is what? Well, the cosine of pi over 6 is the square root of 3 over 2. The square root of pi over 3 is 1/2. And then if I add 1/2 to both sides, I get 6/2 equals c, or 3. And that 1/2 plus 5/2 is 6/2. 6/2 is the same thing as 3. So f of x equals negative cosine of x plus 3. All right? Not too hard. Okay, number 32. And this looks like our antiderivative. This looks like, well, the derivative of what is that? Well, if you look at your flashcards, that's one of our formulas. And the derivative of the arctangent. And again, if you take the derivative of the arctangent, you get 1 over 1 plus x squared, and the derivative of c is 0. So that checks out. And we just put our values in. So f of x equals 2 when x is equal to the square root of 3. Plus c. So what angle? So the arctangent is the angle whose tangent is the square root of 3. So the tangent of what angle is the square root of 3? Well, we know the tangent of pi over 6 is 1 over the square root of 3. So the tangent of pi over 3 is just the square root of 3, so that would be pi over 3. What's the tangent of pi over 3? See, this is the angle whose tangent is pi over 3. So the tangent of, this is the angle whose tangent is the square root of 3. Pardon me. This is the angle whose tangent is the square root of 3. So the tangent of what angle is the square root of 3? Well, we know the tangent of pi over 3 is the square root of 3. So there we go. And that's going to imply, well, I would subtract that. So I would say 2 minus pi over 3 equals c. So it's a little more complicated than the other ones. It's a binomial. So now we have our f of x equals arctan of x plus c, and c is going to be just 2 minus pi over 3. Okay, hopefully that all makes sense.